Hello, everyone. The clip you're about to hear is from one of our exclusive Patreon episodes on a recent horror release, and just like all of our other episodes, it might include major spoilers for said horror release, so don't listen to it if you haven't already seen it. You've officially been warned. And if you'd like to hear the full episode, just head on over to patreon.com/horrorqueers and subscribe today. Without further ado, here is your exclusive Patreon clip.
I'm sensing some gentle reticence on your behalf. I'm curious, do you feel like, okay, A, is this film up to par with Peele's other films? You said that you softened on Us, and you feel like Nope is very accessible. How does this rank in the three films that he's made for you?
You know, I know you're baiting me. I told you this last night, and I will repeat it here, obviously, for our listeners.
I would never bait you.
So, okay, I will confess, walking out of this, it's not that I didn't know what to make of it, but I was definitely still processing. And I think I saw this last night, and I am still processing it. And so,
yes, absolutely.
There's the caveat with that going in. But what I think is, I actually like this better than Us. I don't like it more than Get Out. But I find Us more rewatchable than this. I didn't walk out of this movie being like, oh, I want to see that again immediately. But at the same time, I do think this is more, dare I say, accessible than Us, because what I think here, so, obviously with Peele, we're dealing with a lot of social commentary and subtext and stuff. I think this is the most sub of the subtext we get in his films, because I think that between Get Out and Us and this, it operates perfectly fine as a fun summer blockbuster. Okay. And you don't have to pick up on the subtext here to get enjoyment out of the film or really, get it, for lack of a better term. But it is there if you want to look for it. It's very much there. That's still some of the stuff I'm kind of, figuring out, because I'm not always quite sure what this film is trying to say. Okay. But I do think with Get Out and Us, the subtext is more so text. So it's you have to be on that wavelength to, get enjoyment out of those films. Whereas this one, I don't think you have to get the subtext to enjoy this film.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously we are white people talking about films by a black filmmaker who has been, I think, most vocal about the obvious racial connotations within Get Out, but it would be disingenuous to say that he hasn't very deliberately cast prominent black actors in lead roles for all of his films. You can't dissociate who he makes movies for, but also where he's coming from. It's informing his creative decisions, and rightfully so. But obviously there's going to be certain things that you and I are going to naturally miss as a result, because we're maybe not the target audience, or we're not as well informed with what he's trying to do. So when I look at his films, I'm like, okay, I think that white people gravitate towards Get Out because it's very confronting for us, but it's done in a way that is highly accessible. It's are you the Bradley Whitford of this movie, where you say, oh, I wish Obama could have won a third term?
That's really fascinating, too, because, if you remember with our Candyman episode from last year, some of the reviews from black critics were this is didactic. It is over-explaining all this stuff in a way that Get Out did not. Right. And I still like Candyman a lot, but I can see how someone could be ooh, you are, mansplaining racism to me. Right. In a way that Get Out was not.
Yeah, race-splaining, right?
Yes, there you go. But, okay, wait, so you've asked me about what I think. Where does this rank for you in Peele's oeuvre?
So this is interesting for me. I still think that Get Out is the classic, right? It's the game changer. It's the one that he had clearly been waiting his entire life to make. And it is. It's a fucking classic. It's a no-brainer in terms of that. I think Us is messy narratively. I was hanging out with Dee Dee Crimmins from Rue Morgue and That Shelf. We saw Nope together. And she was saying, I prefer Us as an enjoyable film, but that movie completely falls apart the minute you start to pick away at the narrative.
Oh, yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
It does not make sense.
And I fully agree with that statement. But I still think that Us is a bit more enjoyable. And it wasn't really until I started to read reviews for Nope from other critics where I was trying to get a sense of how do I feel about this? So I read other people's responses to basically get a baseline. Do I agree with this person? That doesn't connect. That doesn't resonate with me. And I saw a couple of people say that Nope feels a little bit indulgent or maybe even a little bit bloated. Like there's a lot of ideas here, and it sometimes feels like Peele just wanted to include it because he wanted to include it, not because it serves the story or these characters' arcs. And I think that's where I come down. So I think that you're right. This is very accessible. I do think it's going to make a lot of money, but I don't think it's going to be as successful in the long run compared to Us. And I'll be curious to see like how this performs over the long run. I think it's going to have a huge opening, and then people are going to be like, it's not really what I was looking for from Peele.
Yeah, that's when we get into that expectation game. I do think this will be his most polarizing film. And that's the other thing, too. Like, I mean, like, again, I didn't walk out of this being like, oh, I want to see this again immediately. But at the same time, I want to watch it again because part of my enjoyment of watching it the first time was I didn't know where it was going. I didn't know what was happening. It was so the mystery of what is this? What is going on? And I think that can also make the ending feel a little bit deflated because if you're expecting this big thing, a spectacle, if you will, the spectacle that we get at the end, which it is spectacle, might not match what you were hoping to get from this. And so I'm interested to see when/if I rewatch this, if knowing what it is, if that makes it more or less enjoyable of a watch.
Atlas Avenue, a long stretch of road that encompasses everything the city of Kennett Heights has to offer. Neon lights, traffic, crime, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and the craziest of characters. My office was above it all. My name is James Locke, and I'm a PI.
Hello, Mr. J. How the hell you doing today?
Good, Edith. Nearly every year I have a new case. New people to meet, new clues to discover, and new problems to solve. But I do it the old-fashioned way. No technology. Nothing post-1950. Hell, I don't even listen to podcasts, but you should. Atlas Avenue Beat is a spoof of the film noir genre with goofy characters, tons of wordplay, and non-stop raunchy humor. There's also 3 whole seasons out right now with more on the way. Just search for Atlas Avenue Beat wherever you listen to podcasts or visit us online at bloody.fm.
It was late in the afternoon when the professor and I took our way towards the east, whence I knew Jonathan was coming.
Jonathan Harker has asked me to note this, as he says he is hardly equal to the task, and he wants an exact record kept.
Dear Madam Mina, I have read your husband's so wonderful diary. Strange and terrible as it is true. I will pledge my life on it.
God preserve my sanity, for to this I am reduced. Safety and the assurance of safety are things of the past.
I am in hopes that I shall see more of you at Castle Dracula.
Listen to Regarding Dracula wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm.